Today we're going to take a look at Psalm 15. Psalm 15 begins with a couple of questions. O Lord, who may abide in your tent? Who may dwell on your holy hill? The psalmist starts by asking these questions about who is able to be in the presence of God. Who has this blessing and this privilege of being able to be with God? That's the question that all of us should be asking too. How can we be in the presence of God? How can we have that privileged position and that honor and that blessing to be in the presence of God? Well, the psalmist goes on to answer that question for us. He talks about the character of one who can be in the presence of God. Verse 2 says, He who walks with integrity and works righteousness and speaks truth in his heart. He does not slander with his tongue, nor does evil to his neighbor, nor takes up a reproach against a friend, in whose eyes a reprobate is despised, and who honors those who fear the Lord. He swears to his own hurt and does not change. He does not put out his money at interest, nor does he take a bribe against the innocent. He who does these things will never be shaken. As the psalmist describes the character of one here, we see several traits that we need to have, that God expects his people to have. Character traits of integrity, or acting in a blameless manner, that we walk in uprightness, that we speak what is true, we practice righteousness. He mentions the fact that we are not going to treat others unfairly, but we are going to speak well of others, and we are going to, even to the point of, he says, swear to his own hurt, that when we make a promise or an agreement to do something, even if we find out that that's going to end up not working out well for us, we're going to keep our word, that we're willing to make those sacrifices in order to not wrong someone or not go back on our word. So the psalmist talks about these are the character traits of those who can abide with the Lord and dwell in his holy hill. But what's interesting, so we think about why we would want to dwell in the presence of God. Why would we want to be in that position? It's because of who God is, because of his character traits, his righteousness, how he always speaks the truth, how he acts with fairness, how he was willing to sacrifice, and as we look ahead to the New Testament, the sacrifice his son on the cross for us. This is talking about the characteristics of God. Who can dwell with God? To sum it all up, it's those who will adopt the characteristics of God, those who will strive to be like him. And he ends the psalm by saying, He who does these things will never be shaken. God will not be shaken. God is not moved. If we will be like God, we can dwell with him, and that we will never be shaken no matter what challenges we have to face in this life. And so to ask those questions, O Lord, who may abide in your tent? Who may dwell on your holy hill? Do we want to have the honor and the privilege and the blessing of being with God, of having fellowship with him? But we need to make sure our lives are in line with his characteristics. Strive to be like him in all that we do. And if we will do that, if we will model our lives after him, we can abide with him, and we can have the stability that only he can provide.